Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name's Andy and on my channel I talk about all things burnout related. In 2016 I myself had a burnout and now I founded my company Lavichka Consulting to help others avoid burning out or to recover better, quicker in a more sustainable way. Today I want to talk about perfectionism. Through my work with my clients I learned that perfectionism is a leading cause or a main contributor to people burning out. I myself, I'm not a perfectionist, I must admit, so my experience here is mainly coming from working with my clients. First, we have to make a clear distinction between having high expectations and being a perfectionist. Having high expectations and pride in your work is something very good and something you should always maintain. The difference here is a very fine line of having high expectations but knowing when good is good enough to hand in your work. Perfectionist, the only reason he hands in or she hands in a proposal or a finished project is a deadline. Otherwise, they will be still working on it today. So normally when you work on a project, the first 6-7 weeks, the quality increases and the progress of the project increases very quickly. And soon you will be reaching 80-90% of work completion. And then the last 10% is what you spend a lot of time on fine-tuning it, and then at some point you will reach 98%. And this is when perfectionism kicks in, because then you work on the last 1 or 2% for some time, often the same amount of time that you spent working on the first 98%. When working with my clients, I always ask them to take a step back and ask themselves certain questions. One of the key questions I find is, what is the worst case scenario if I stop working on this and hand in my work? What will really happen? What is the worst that can happen? The worst case scenario? Will somebody be shot, or will somebody rate your work as bad? Because even if you are, let's say, at 98% quality of the work, your project, your proposal will still be pretty good. It's not going to be absolutely rubbish. Another question that I think is extremely powerful is always take a step back and weigh continuing to work on what you're doing versus all the stuff that's not being done. Is it really more valuable, more beneficial for you, for the company you're working for, or whoever, to continue working on this that you're currently doing, or would it be more beneficial to hand in that work, stop working there, and start something else so that you can move on for maybe a larger overall goal? So these are the questions that I think are very important. Take a step back and consciously make a decision what you want to continue. In terms of working techniques, I also always advise my clients to break down their large projects into smaller chunks and set specific milestones. Allocate specific time to different milestones so that you always have a better track of where you stand with the overall picture. The second last milestone should be set then at 95% completion, and then you can again consciously ask yourself, what is more beneficial? Is it more beneficial and better to work on the last 5%? Can I really increase the quality of my project by completing A, B, C? Or would it really be better to complete A and be done with it, to work on something that will be more valuable for the overall big picture? When reading up about perfectionism, I came across something called Parkinson's Law. Parkinson's Law says, work expands to fill the period of time available for its completion, which means that if you work on something, you normally work on something until its deadline. Very seldomly you will be handing in something in before. And if there's no deadline, you are most probably still working on it today. And Parkinson's Law is an issue for perfectionists, because when you have a project, you're going to start working on different aspects of it, but you want to perfect every single one of them. And only once you realize, oh, there's a deadline coming up, you panic and finish up as soon as possible. The result of that is stress and most probably unsatisfaction, because you couldn't work on everything as much as you wanted to have the perfect work hand in. Which leads me to a question. How do you define your work? What does perfect even mean? If we come back to my first question I asked in this clip, what is the biggest room in the world? The biggest room in the world is the room for improvement. So yes, we can always improve on everything, but at some point we have to move on. So also in regards to Parkinson's law, and as an advice to any perfectionists out there, break down your project into smaller chunks, maybe use the Pomodoro technique, I spoke about that in my last clip, and allocate specific time to all the different steps, that you have a better overview, and then you can always decide, this is good enough. Yes, let's hand in the work because I took a step back and valued or weighed continuing to working on the last 2% of that project versus starting another one. I hope this clip is valuable to you. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for liking and commenting. Thank you very much for subscribing to my channel, and see you in the next clip. Take care. Bye-bye.